initial research and ideas for this term was to experiment with photography and explore the image-making possibilities in this medium. Experimenting with glass reflections using a torch and a drinking glass on a piece of paper, I'm playing with the themes of light, colour and form. The light can take on many forms and create different and unexpected patterns. I wanted to combine these light experiments with photographs I had taken of trees to add depth and combine different structures to create a whole new abstract image. I also wanted to make the natural world appear even more magical and spiritual to inspire people to tap into another realm and to look at our surroundings with a different viewpoint. After taking those photographs, I became interested in looking at early photographs and techniques, and I wanted to delve deeper into the history of photographing objects in early modernist photography. Looking at Georgie Keeps and Man Ray and their practice of making photograms and rayograms has inspired me to make my own and to spend more time in the photography department to develop this idea. Wanting to find more different ways of working and processes, I decided to make my own inks, as I wanted to be more connected with my surroundings and finding and extracting colour from everyday objects and flowers. I wanted to work with nature in my art. I also like the aspect of chance, not knowing what colours will occur, and to work more sustainably, feeling closer to the earth. Finding more different ways of working and experimenting with colour, process and subject, I did botanical monoprinting, using our surroundings to create their own imprints, nature using the image itself and of itself. I used eco-vegan inks, being conscious of the impact back onto nature, and wanting to take this monoprint into a different sphere, I merged it with photographs I had taken of trees and their spindly branches. I felt drawn to this quote in Susan Sontag's book regarding the pain of others. Making suffering loom larger by globalising it may spur people to feel they ought to care more. There is so much suffering in this world related to climate disasters, and constantly showing this can leave people desensitised. I want to use my art to inspire instead of turn away and traumatise. Further examination into the image of trees and the manipulation of these images, I've experimented with making more complex layered images based on my original photographs. I've tried to balance colours and forms, making complex abstractions based on the figurative original. I guess the reason for this is that I want to add an extra emotional level to what I already feel is highly charged from nature. After I made these photographs, I began to see certain formal similarities to some of Gerald Richter's large abstract paintings. Although these are completely different forms, it's interesting to see how they can have similar outcomes. These large paintings were made by drawing thick oil paints over a canvas, whereas mine were all digitally manipulated. I'm drawn to pinks and purples as they represent love and femininity, as well as peace and wisdom, which I like adding that layer onto what is already a peaceful image of nature. I'm also interested in organic forms and enhancing them. I like the lines in this image from the bark as they emphasise connection and spirituality. Caicedo also uses digital manipulation in her work, whereas hers is based on rivers and the flow of water, and she displays them in these beautiful large hangings. Her work engages with exploring environmental, political and feminist issues. However, she uses aesthetics to entice people in instead of a more typical activist approach. This is another digitally remixed image I have made of trees. I wanted it to be a totally abstract form, but so that you could still feel the presence of nature, breaking nature down into fractals and unique shapes to emphasise the complexity within trees, showing how they communicate with each other and are a vital part of keeping us alive. Wanting to find new ways of presenting my work, I used projecting my tree edits onto a tree trunk. Printing them onto paper did not look effective, and I needed to find a way of exhibiting them where the light can enhance the image. Combining a new abstract form of nature onto a no longer living tree felt effective and like I was keeping the tree alive, like a memoir. The shadow of the trunk underlines absence. It becomes the tree no longer there, and at the same time gives a sense of space and depth, transforming once a 2D image to 3D. I would like to further this idea and add music or a spoken word to add a whole new depth, to highlight the importance of trees and so that people can reflect on the current nature and climate crisis. I came across Philip Frank's work. My previous work uses a similar practice of projection, whereas he takes his work out into the wild, merging his art into our surroundings. His images of swirly patterns and geometric shapes are very trippy and highlight the magic of the world. He provides a spiritual experience through his work, evoking emotions of calmness and hope. Carolina Caicedo also takes her work into our surroundings as well as in a gallery space, highlighting the many ways of spreading climate awareness. She collaborates with Colombian locals and activist groups to produce a mixture of art and activism, and also linking the oppression of women to the degradation of the planet through displaying rivers as feminine entities which are being blocked and privatised. Looking again at photography and different ways of making images, it strikes me how modern these images look, even though they are from the 50s. I love the look of double exposure and how the female body merges with the trees and the sand, becoming the same entity. I would like to experiment more with this idea, perhaps projecting images onto my own body or using different camera equipment to create double exposure. Another way I'm thinking of presenting work is through performance. I love Jane Jonas's work and the playful nature she has. She uses projection to blend into the backgrounds while reading out loud or creating drawings. She claims that her drawings are part of the performance and that they are a release of partly unconscious archetypal images which you could not duplicate. Reflecting more on what activism means to me, I read this book by Gregory Charlotte. He claims that both art and activism no longer simply intersect, but they increasingly double one another. I think this can especially be seen in Carolina Caicedo's work. To me, activism is acting on your beliefs, whether that is through a physical protest or through painting an image. Jeremy Deller's installation of the Battle of Orgreave is inspiring as he shows a mixture of photographs and videos and books to paint a picture of protest. This again links to both activism and art together, creating a whole interactive experience for the viewer, and it makes me reflect on how much power art can have and if I want to be raising the stakes in my art as I am already in my activism. I am ending this presentation of 2 pictures of me being arrested for peaceful climate protest, alongside a poem, drawing links to using my physical body to create change in an activist setting, as well as using my body to create art exposing the beauty of our surroundings and how we must protect it. Change must come from compassion, and we must live our lives for the healing of the world.